Sorry, I think that I might be coming down with a bit of a fever. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you are new here, then please do me a favour and hit that subscribe button. So the Cleveland Browns have finally signed a veteran quarterback after a month of waiting and wondering who it would be. The Browns have signed Joe Flacco. That's right, Flacco fever is back. He has signed back with the Browns on a 1-year, $4 million deal that could rise to $13 million with incentives. Was this a good move for the Browns? Will Joe Flacco start? And will they still draft a quarterback? Let's waste no time and get straight into it. I'm going to go over the good, the bad, as well as talk about, my thoughts on the move and what I think it means going forward. Very, very quickly before I get into the video, I am currently working on a Q&A video, so if you have any Browns related questions or even questions about my Cleveland, sports fandom as a whole, either comment them under this video or go to the community post on my YouTube channel. Let's start with the good. The vibes are back, regardless of what you think about Flacco. He is someone that is easy to root for, something that the Browns haven't been able to say that often regarding the quarterback position over the years. And, not even since Flacco helped the team to the playoffs in 2023. He was also a breath of fresh air for fans in 2023 and won a lot of them over to the point that, I think a lot of fans wanted him back in 2024. So it's certainly a popular move that I think a lot of fans will like. He's familiar with the system. He gives Stefanski and the Browns, a proven vet that they can feel comfortable putting out there week one. And finally, he put up massive numbers when he was here, last time. I mean, it's still pretty crazy to think that he came off his couch and put up over 320 yards per game. He also had countless memorable plays and moments during that 5-game stretch to end the season. The ridiculous throw to Cooper against Chicago to come back and win that one. Throwing Amari Cooper into the record books with the most receiving yards in a game in Browns history against the Texans on none other than Christmas Eve. Or the Jets game on Thursday Night Football where, he basically threw for 300 yards in the first half as the Browns clinched the playoffs in front of their home fans. Just awesome memories that me and I'm sure, every Browns fan will never forget. He did also put up pretty big numbers during his starts in Indy last year. So, one thing you have to expect is that he can continue to stuff the stat sheet. And whilst that might not be conducive to winning, it at least gives you a reason to tune in every Sunday. Now to the bad. This is the part where I will be completely honest with you guys. This move doesn't exactly move the needle for me as much from an on-the-field perspective. I'm ecstatic to have Joe back as a person, but a player, it is slightly underwhelming. I've sat here and talked about how, whilst I think he's a potential target, there are better targets out there. So I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys and talk about how it's amazing, it's an amazing move, it's going to work, and that Joe will lead us to the playoffs again. I would just be lying if I came on here and said that. Joe Flacco was old in 2023. Now he's 2 years older. I know, great maths. He can still sling it, but, the age was a concern 2 years ago and even more so now. You could argue as well that, this shows that the Browns either had no plan for quarterback or their plan failed, because if Flacco was the guy, I don't think he'd have waited until April to sign. So it is hard to get excited about a guy that was probably your plan C or D, as much as you probably will try and pretend that he wasn't. He's not exactly the best mentor for a rookie, and I do expect the Browns to be planning on drafting one. It started with Lamar Jackson when when Baltimore drafted him, the few comments that he made about not being a mentor. We saw it with Anthony Richardson when he went to Indy last year. And now Jalen Milroe. All jokes aside, he's talked quite candidly how it's not really something that he does, is the mentor role. So if you are bringing in a veteran that, you want to have ahead of a rookie, is Joe Flacco the best guy to do so? You could argue maybe not. I'd feel confident in Flacco starting some games, but I don't think that I want to see what a full 17-game season with Joe Flacco looks like, to be honest. As I mentioned, he put up big numbers in 2023, but he also threw a lot of picks, and including the two in the playoffs that the memory of will be forever burnt into my brain. This move truly makes my heart say, let's go, and my head say, oh no. I just think there were better options out there, and that the Browns low-key kind of bottled acquiring them. Kirk Cousins was the guy that made the most sense for me at the start of this process, but to be fair to the Browns, the Falcons have managed their quarterback situation even worse than they have, and now because they try to play hardball to try and save face, they'll be paying Cousins $40 million to be their backup unless a starter around the league gets injured during training camp or preseason, which, let's be honest, will probably happen. But still, Atlanta, what are they doing? I don't know. What does this mean for the Browns? Now, as someone who's been, in the don't draft a quarterback at 2 camp all offseason, it would be easy for me to sit here and say it's time for those that are in the draft a quarterback at 2 camp to, let it go because of how this signifies that they aren't going that route. But I don't think that's necessarily the case. If it would have been Kirk Cousins and they traded for him, then it would have been the case because, he's not going to waive his no trade clause just to have a number 2 overall pick sat behind him, especially not after what he went through in Atlanta. But if the Browns did plan to take a quarterback at 2, then I don't think that would stop them from signing Joe Flacco. He was a backup in Indy last year. He's getting paid backup money. However, on the flip side, I do think that Flacco has signed here with the hopes of starting, given how, incentive-based his deal is. And that, if he had any information pointing towards the Browns going quarterback at 2, would he have signed here? I don't know. You could also argue that, adding Flacco and Pickett to the quarterback room, 2 guys with starting experience in the NFL, shows that the Browns are leaning more towards a developmental pick at quarterback who could potentially not even start at all during their rookie season, depending, of course, on how well Flacco and Pickett can perform. Jalen Milroe, I hope so. If you've watched any of my videos on the draft, then you'll know that, Milroe and a veteran quarterback has been my choice pretty much all off-season. So maybe this move means the Browns are leaning towards the same. We'll have to wait and see. Whilst I don't think that, in a vacuum, signing Flacco stops you from drafting a quarterback at number 2 overall, I, of course, didn't think that they would anyway, and this move does somewhat point to that. I think Flacco starts week 1, but I don't necessarily think it's a guarantee. Some people might laugh at this, but Kenny Pickett will be given a chance to beat Flacco out in a quarterback competition. Now, will he take that chance? I doubt it, but it's not out of the realms of possibility. They'll be splitting reps during off-season programs. Pickett will probably get a lot of reps with the ones as well, given the fact that Flacco is 40 years old and will probably see his practice reps somewhat limited. So yes, it's probably unlikely, but I wouldn't write Kenny Pickett off just yet. It is kind of funny, Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett as a quarterback room. It will be even funnier when the Browns add Jalen Milroe. And finally, I do also think that the Browns are probably done at signing quarterbacks now. As I said earlier, signing a bridge quarterback and drafting one in the second round has always been my preferred choice over drafting one at number 2 overall. So now we know it's going to be Flacco and Pickett and probably a rookie. As I mentioned, it is a little bit underwhelming, but it is at least serviceable. I understand why some fans are hyped about this move. I really do. I mean, shit. Flacco is easy to root for, and I myself look forward to him being here and in the building. I really do hope it works. I would want nothing more than for Flacco to come here and light it up again and have a great season before, handing the reins over to a draft pick next year. That 2023 run was some of the most fun I've ever had as a Browns fan. And, I'll always remember that season. I'm just not as comfortable with, the idea of Flacco potentially starting the whole season than I would have been with some of the other targets. He was someone that I highlighted during my quarterback discussions over the offseason, so I'm not exactly shocked by the move. I get it, it makes sense. I just can't help but think it's slightly underwhelming. But as I said, I really do hope that I'm wrong. We've got some good vibes back in Cleveland. Having Flacco here will be great for the fans. We'll see who the Browns draft in under 2 weeks' time to pair with, him as well as Kenny Pickett. As I said, for me, hopefully it's Milroe, but you've got starting experience in that room nonetheless. If the Browns come away from the draft without drafting a quarterback, then I would be very surprised, and it would make me reconsider whether they would actually still trade for Kirk Cousins and just have the whitest quarterback room in NFL history with Kirk Cousins, Joe Flacco, and Kenny Pickett. As I said, we'll have to wait and see. You'll find me here, as always, talking about whatever happens with a smile on my face regardless. Unless they draft Tyler Show in the first 2 rounds, that is. But that would do it for me today, guys. Flacco fever is well and truly back. Will it terrorise the NFL like COVID-19 did? I certainly hope so. If you do enjoy my content, guys, then please drop this video a like, hit the subscribe button. It's free, but it really, really helps out my channel. You can also check the links in the description to see where you can follow and interact with me on social media. As I said at the start, I'm working on a Q&A video, so you can check the posts on my social medias, you can check the post on the community channel on my YouTube channel, or just comment under this video if you want. Let me know it's for the Q&A. Ask me anything Browns related, anything about Cleveland Browns, fandom, whatever. How this random British guy became a fan. I want to interact with this community more, and I think this is a great way of doing it. So, as I said, if you have any questions, please drop them down below. As always, I'm trying to build a community of Cleveland Browns fans, and even if I only get to talk to one fan a day, I'm happy because I'm talking Browns football with the best fan base in the world. Thanks again for watching, guys. Have an amazing weekend, but most importantly, go Browns.